We looked at smart contract infrastructure. We looked at MPC infrastructure. We looked at even like Shamir, secret sharing, like a bunch of the different schemes that are quite popular today.
Okay, awesome. We're live. Hi, everybody. Welcome. Today, I'm very excited. We have on Aditi and Nitya from the Capsule team. So there's like a few things which we're going to discuss, but I'm basically interested in both like what Capsule is, like talk about a lot about Web3 wallets, and also because like you guys are a small team, like building out in crypto. I think you started in the bear market, so there's a lot to discuss over there too. But I did rush myself into it. But for a short intro, Nitya is the CEO and co-founder of Capsule, and Aditi is part of the founding team, also leading the business side. So why don't I pass it on to you, starting with Nitya for like a short introduction, and then Aditi yourself as well.
Of course. I'm so excited to be on. So as I mentioned, I'm Nitya. I'm the founder of Capsule. And I guess the way I got into the space initially, back in 2014, I was friends with the Bitcoin core dev and was an engineer and studying computer science, and just was so excited about distributed systems and a lot of just the core underpinnings of the technology. And then worked in fintech for several years. So I worked in lending, actually. And I think a lot of that experience actually shaped how I came to understand how financial systems work, things that are really opaque and maybe could be a lot more open and accessible. And that was really what brought me to the space to stay for good. And so joined the Cello Protocol as one of their early core devs, and then later on led their product team. And kind of in that experience, came to understand a lot of the very foundational blockers to adoption in this space. So this is things like self-custody, interoperability, cost, just a lot of the very foundational factors that, of course, there are a lot of brilliant teams working on today. And with Capsule, we're really focused on the self-custody kind of ease of use and ease of transacting problems.
Aditi's putting on her glasses. She's getting the nerd view. Let's hear it from you too. Aditi, how'd you get in?
Oh, well, first of all, it's such a full circle moment because Austin and I have been friends since I started in crypto in 2017. So I joined the Capsule team in October 2022, currently focusing on go-to-market and the business side of things. Started in crypto in 2017. My first foray was at Consensus, where I was working on the first version of universal logins, which was a UX framework that actually was developed at the Ethereum Foundation. So had some minor overlap with Austin back in the day with your work on burner wallets at ETH Denver. So that's actually how we became friends, which is funny since we're working on Capsule today. But before Capsule, I was leading business development efforts at Celestia and just generally driving awareness and adoption of modular blockchain. So was there, and then also have held product roles at the Graph.
The burner wallets and even like meta transactions really lean into this kind of stuff. Sponsored transactions, easier self-custody. Let's dive into that. So like there are, when we talk about self-custody, there's some serious elephants in the room. And right now, when you have self-custody, there's sort of like, if you lose this seed phrase, it's gone forever. If you leak this seed phrase, it's swept immediately. And so there's definitely this kind of, ooh, how about like a two of two multi-sig with some kind of help and progressive self-custody kind of stuff? Can you guys just talk about, maybe, I hope I hit on the elephants in the room, but what are the biggest barriers and how are you guys looking at tackling those in terms of UX?
Yeah, absolutely. There's a few different ways we think about this, and the first is absolutely what you mentioned, Austin, where we think about crypto's main advantage, but also disadvantage, being this sort of irrevocable fact that this is all cryptography underpinning who has access to something and who doesn't. And so instead of something like a forgot your password flow, it's a forgot your password and sorry is kind of how it goes. And so a lot of how we've thought about this is bringing elements of the space from the UX perspective much closer to that forgot your password, or even just authenticate with what you have as opposed to needing to remember something. So we're heavily focused on Passkeys, which I think we'll talk about probably later. But we think a lot about how do you make sure that you can protect against both loss and theft. Like I think with cases of theft, there are a lot of things like key rotation and different mechanisms that the space thinks about. But loss is often something that's less covered. And so we think about both those vectors, and then especially because we work directly with dApps, we also think about how the overall structure can be such that the user builds a relationship with the dApp. Maybe there's ways that the dApp can help them out in kind of keeping their access over a long period of time. So yeah, something we definitely think about. And then we also kind of try to push that even forward whenever we can, of how do we make sure that building in crypto is an advantage wherever it can be one as well.
And smart contracts are a big piece of this, right? We're not using EOAs anymore. We're using smart contracts and we're calling them smart accounts, I think. But there's this other thing called an embedded wallet. Can you also kind of tap in on what an embedded wallet is?
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, Aditi, please feel free to jump in as well. But an embedded wallet is basically a response to what wallets have been. And Austin, as creator of the burner wallet, I feel like you're right, very much your name's in the history books on this one. But as many of us know, listening to this pod, the sort of oldest way to access crypto was your keys, your crypto. And this didn't even look like using a web or mobile wallet. This looked like you either buy a hardware wallet, or you have a paper wallet, or you create a public-private key pair on your laptop, and that's yours. Like there's minimal even third-party software involved in that process. And then from there, of course, we step towards the wallets that we all know and love today. So this is wallets like MetaMask, Rainbow, Zero Trust, like standalone wallets that are separate applications that we download and then kind of come back to the app that we're using. And then as crypto has now shifted towards a world where people onboard with the intent to do something, embedded wallets can do a lot to kind of streamline that friction of going from being excited to use an application and then having to download a wallet and come back to just being able to capture that intention right away and start transacting. And so that's kind of, I'd say, one of the biggest advantages of an embedded wallet. And then one thing we think about a lot is embedded wallets in some ways, if you're not careful, can recreate some of the challenges in Web 2, where I have 20 different passwords, 20 different logins, and 20 different places where there's maybe less than $10 worth of some different crypto. And so we think about unifying that experience as well and really capturing the unique advantages of crypto, namely being that you have this composability and interoperability of assets.
So I kind of want to shift back a bit as well. But basically, so I've been in Web3 for, I guess, like 3 years now, and I've probably gifted like 10 hardware wallets. And no one reached out to me afterwards to like ask how to set up. So I don't think any of my friends actually did set it up. Maybe that's on me, but I kind of think on the experience as well. So obviously, like getting into like crypto is quite like difficult right now. And we will talk about like passkeys and like kind of, how the experience is going to change. But very shortly, for like someone just learning about Capsule, like what is Capsule? Is it like MetaMask, or like if I'm a developer like hearing about it for the first time, can you just give like the small elevator pitch?
Oh, I'll take it. Okay, great. Capsule is cross-app embedded wallet infrastructure. So I think Nitya did the proper explanation on what an embedded wallet is. It's basically a wallet that is kind of in the background of the transacting experience. So users can leverage applications that have Capsule integrated and have a wallet that is seedless. So they don't have to manage any sort of seed phrase, signless. So not needing to manage the signing process of signing a transaction, inspecting it in a separate kind of interface from kind of where they initiate the transaction from, and then having wallets be recoverable as well that are Capsule wallets. So if a user loses their device, should be able to recover their wallet very easily. So the goal, to Nitya's point, is to make crypto as accessible as it is in Web 2, while also still maintaining the benefits of building on crypto. So having this ease of transacting via just a push of button, kind of having that be like a one-click style experience, but also still maintaining the magic of crypto, where when we use MetaMask, when we connect to an application, we see our ENS pop up, we see our transaction history pop up. That is really a magical experience because we are not always starting from zero and creating a fresh login, username, password style experience. And so Capsule is very much the same, where you have this wallet in the background, but that wallet is usable across a variety of applications, anywhere you decide to transact.
Rad. Okay, so we've got a wallet that's seedless, so therefore nothing can leak. We got rid of that elephant. Then we have an embedded wallet that's built in, not some wallet that you have to go get. So if you're going in to create a piece of art, you go to the dApp and you start creating the piece of art. And then right when you need to mint it, then it's like, okay, now we need to do some extra steps, but you're not going to have to learn a 12-word seed phrase. It's just signing up and kind of, you probably have to deploy some counterfactual smart contract wallet on their behalf. And then you can recover it too. That's the other elephant. If someone loses everything, you guys are able to step in and probably do something on the smart contract that rolls their old for a new. Okay, but then there's this cross app. And I think this is really the critical piece here, is that you're not, I think a lot of smart contract wallets right now are very gated, which doesn't make sense. It's sort of like, we're going to create this really nice environment, but you have to play with all of our tools. And if you go somewhere else, then it's going to be very hard. So the cross app stuff, I really want to lean into, because smart contract UX still isn't there. It's still very much the Wild West, and we're still experimenting. So the UX is going to just naturally kind of silo itself, and certain people are going to build good UXs. And if you want to have that UX, it's going to be hard to take that from place to place. So can we just talk about this cross app thing, and how if Capsule completely disappeared tomorrow and I have a smart contract wallet deployed with you guys, what does it really mean to be cross app? What does it mean to say, I can still have all of these experiences, but on another app?
Yeah, absolutely. So, so the way I kind of describe cross app and why that's something that's in the 4 words that that Aditi led with is really that up until now, as you mentioned, there's these loss vectors, there's these kind of remembering things vectors, there's all these sort of quirks about crypto. And the kind of pithy way I put it is that if you choose to build on crypto, you're committing to probably 3 times the effort to build your app. And you're probably committing to putting your users through about 3 times the effort to use your product. And we think about this new era and a lot of what we think the North Star is at Capsule as actually flipping that completely. So not just saying it's just as easy, just as good, because there will always be cost factors and different factors that are involved with something being on chain, but actually flipping that to it needs to be 3x better, 3x easier to use, to develop with, things like that. And so the overall, I can maybe describe just how Capsule works at a high level, and I think that would, and we can get into vectors like recovery. So Capsule is a 2 of 2 MPC or multi-party computation based infrastructure. So one share is held by within Capsule systems, and then and that's protected by HSM modules. And then the other share is held by users within their own environments and protected by a passkey. And so what that gets you in terms of properties, and there are a couple of other properties that we've layered on top to offer both censorship resistance and recoverability. So that base 2 of 2, what that gets you is a user can, from any app that they're using, initiate a transaction. And they can do that without the application having access to their private key. And then kind of further additional mechanisms like a recovery secret that dApps can actually help hold that has similar properties to a password, in that you can always reset it or refresh it. If somebody maybe steals it from you, you can reset it and rotate it. And then similarly on the censorship resistance side, this is something that we care quite a bit about. And so actually from the moment a user starts using Capsule, they have the option to, dApp has the option to actually get them their full kind of the full share that Capsule has, and therefore they could exit the system at any point. Even let's say if the next minute both that application and Capsule were to sort of disappear, that standard of being able to exit and ability to kind of credibly exit the system and choose another system. Maybe you're choosing to write down your private key instead. All of those tools that kind of crypto is really kind of known for and that are really important to cryptographic systems are preserved.
Okay, so I think I had it wrong in my head a little bit. I was saying smart contract wallet, but really this isn't a Create2 smart contract wallet. This is an MPC solution. Is that right? Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
so we
Yep, go ahead.
oh no, it's actually a funny story that you mentioned. Because one of the very first things that we were thinking about in building Capsule was given our ambitions to just make it just as easy to interact with blockchains as it is to interact with anything else on the internet. What the right infrastructure for that was. And we looked at smart contract infrastructure, we looked at MPC infrastructure, we looked at even like Shamir, secret sharing, like a bunch of the different schemes that are quite popular today. And what we actually realized was that we are extremely bullish on smart contract wallet functionality. And in kind of building on that, we thought that it would be really valuable to focus on the cryptography itself. So we actually think of Capsule in the technical sense as an abstraction on top of public-private key cryptography. And so that retains a very easy kind of modularity and compatibility with all of the really awesome smart account systems. And then you also get some of these properties from the MPC.
Awesome. Okay. And you can take it anywhere is, if we think of it, so it's not a smart contract wallet, it's more like an elaborate way to store your private key. And you guys have a piece of the private key and they have a piece of the private key. And if you guys disappear, they can, I think you said the DApp even could query for the other side of the private key or something like that. Is that right? Am I thinking of that right?
Yeah, I can walk through both those mechanisms. So the censorship resistance side, as soon as a user logs in or creates an account for the first time, Capsule actually directly sends them the backup key material that they would need to export their private key at any point, even if Capsule were to completely disappear and the DApp were to completely disappear. And then building on that, let's say the user loses their passkey, loses their phone, accidentally kind of wipes everything on their laptop and browser profile. There's still a recovery mechanism, and the dApps can help with that as well if they choose to.
Okay, so I want to ask a perspective from the user as well. So like let's say like I go to a DApp which uses Capsule wallet. So can you like walk through the process of like as a user and coming in, like for logging in? I believe there's also like social login options, but could you like walk through the experience of a user for like signing transactions and just even getting set up?
Yeah, absolutely. So the way that a user would create a wallet with Capsule is, to your point, we have either email login or a variety of social logins. So you could choose, as a user, you could choose any of those options. You'd select one of those, then you'd create a passkey. So this is just for the user, it would just show up as a Touch ID or a Face ID. Once that's done, they would have their wallet created. They would have to save some recovery material. This is usually something they can download and store on their side, and then the wallet is created. And so after that process, the entire transacting experience is abstracted away to this kind of one-click style transacting experience where you just click a button, stuff happens in the background. And so we think this is really important because we don't want users to need to kind of manage signing in different interfaces like they have to do today with, needing to manage a wallet that is either like a separate mobile app or an extension. What's nice is the signing is just kind of biometric. So let's say a user moves on to app number 2 after app number 1. So they like collected an NFT in app number 1 and want to go list it somewhere. They would be able to log in through the cross-app functionality, and then they'd just be able to biometrically sign and list their NFT if they choose to do so. So what's nice is for the end user, there's no kind of formal seed phrase that they need to write down or manage, and they would just have a very simple kind of transacting experience.
Awesome. Okay, so there's like the passkeys at the heart of this too. I'm sorry that I'm slow to pick up on on all this stuff. I feel like I should have done better research, but we have NPCs. We've got like a Samir secret sharing kind of thing, but it's NPC. You've got this like elaborate private key scheme, and then the key piece to make the UX all work are passkeys, because then they can just have a biometric passkey on their device. They put in a thumbprint, and then behind the scenes, you probably put that NPC information in large blob storage of the passkey or something along those lines, where their device has a passkey that has some good storage in it, and you're able to store this secret, like not a seed phrase, but similar to a seed phrase or a piece of a seed phrase in this large blob storage. And then if they go from device or cross app, they just use that biometric again. They go get their piece of the NPC. They go to you guys and say, hey, I want to do this transaction. And you add your piece of the NPC, and they sign the thing and send it. Am I thinking of the passkey stuff right? Or is there more of a hang up there? Who wants it?
Yeah, I think that's mostly right. There's in the NPC side, there are a couple of things where you build out a networking layer instead of recombining shares. There are a few kind of small nuances there around how we do session management and things like that. But I think the highest level, I think that's like the best way to describe it.
Awesome. Yeah, my NPC knowledge is pretty limited. I like to just think of Samir secret sharing and not go too far into it. But yes, there's some neat schemes. And no smart contract here. No smart contract wallet. You guys decided not to do that. I think I heard you say that earlier, but are you thinking about, like, is that an eventual thing of the product, or no smart contracts at all in the product?
Yeah, it's a really good question. Yeah, as mentioned, it was definitely something that we initially thought quite a bit about. I think especially with the way the space has evolved, there are so many really fantastic smart contract wallet providers and folks building out infra there that our focus is at least at this time and for any foreseeable future, just maximizing our compatibility with all of those really great on-chain smart contract wallet systems. And then just making those developer experiences easy. If someone wants to connect a Capsule wallet to, let's say, 4 or 5 different smart accounts, maybe those 4 or 5 accounts are on different chains. Maybe they're even using different smart accounts schemes across EVM and non-EVM chains. So for us, we just try to maximize compatibility across a lot of these schemes.
So technically, like, the NPC wallet could be a signer or owner in a smart contract wallet, and there can be like a smart contract wallet is a whole nother layer here, because the NPC is kind of like off-chain. Okay, cool. Thank
Absolutely. Yeah, we think of ourselves as kind of an off-chain cryptographic complement, sort of a beefed up EOA, if you will, that can then be a signer on any number of smart accounts across different chains, ecosystems, etc.
And what's interesting? Oh, sorry. What's interesting is what Nitya said has been pairing really well with, I think, how the market has been developing. Like the fact that you can have kind of both MPC and AA act as complements on products, depending on what the kind of use case is, has been really, really exciting to see for us, because obviously we've been following some of these trends for super long.
And they're slow to develop. Like you talk to the Argent guys who have been doing smart contract wallets since like 2017, and they'll say, well, we've had everything here and it's been ready, but you can't, most dApps won't respect signed messages from smart contracts. And so a lot of dApps are still in the EOA world. So this NPC stuff like works in all of the EOA world stuff with this extra recovery option, whereas smart contracts are still kind of Wild West, and we're still trying to figure out what that UX looks like. So that makes a lot of sense. I'll get out of the way though. I'm asking too many questions. You go, Etta, you go.
So actually I was gonna kind of, well, it was a bit answered because like I can see that they're more complementary, but just to like compare like the other like wallets which we have in in crypto right now, like how does it compare? Like I can see like how they're complementary, but also like see some people would like default to like smart contract account abstraction wallets, etc. But do you guys have any ideas of like how you would like kind of give the comparison there?
Yeah, absolutely. I think for us, we we kind of have a set of features that we think are important for a set of the market that hasn't been addressed yet. And this is folks who want that ease of use and the same type of interactions you get in Web 2, but also all of the benefits of Web 3, namely being able to go to multiple different apps, not necessarily have to download a standalone wallet until they want to. But I think it's the beauty of crypto is, and actually it's like, given that I used to work in fintech, I actually think a lot of it mirrors personal finance, where like there's a reason it's called personal finance. Some people have 25 like debit and credit cards and are changing them out every month to maximize some reward points. Some people have exactly one bank account and one credit card and like to keep things really simple. Some people want to like really tune spending requirements on maybe different financial instruments that they have. Others want to just set it and forget it. And so I think wallets and largely how we interact on chain is gonna mirror parts of this, where we think a lot about this in the sense of having the default be the simplest possible thing, and then giving people all of the room above that to customize and configure and manage even things like DApp access to their wallet, letting people export private keys if they want to, letting people log in with their Capsule wallet to what people would consider like regular wallets. So we have a collaboration with MetaMask that allows you to do this and use your MPC wallet within MetaMask. So we think of ourselves as very much, again, this kind of abstraction on the cryptography, but I think the places that people use wallets are only going to expand as the number of different exciting things you can do on chain expands. And so a lot of that looks like, I think account abstraction is a really great option if anyone wants to take advantage of gas sponsorship, paymasters, batch transactions, any of those features. And so if someone is using Capsule, they can always connect that as a signer to a smart contract account to get those features. They could also kind of use this to bridge if they need to manage multiple create two, as Austin mentioned, create two accounts across different chains, having one signer interface for a user. So we kind of think about the wallet landscape as something that's always changing, and there will be innovation on chain and off chain. And that's one axis. And then the other axis is really the product UX and the kind of level of power user configuration that users have, and just trying to play nicely with all of that.
Okay, that's great. And also great that you mentioned the product side, because that was going to be my follow-up question. And I guess maybe this would be more to you as well, Aditi. So I'm curious about like your partners and like what apps are like using Capsule and their experience.
Yeah, great question. We've been incredibly lucky to be working with just such incredible industry leaders they're all our customers. And I think one good example which Nitya mentioned is the partnership with MetaMask, where Capsule embedded wallets are a supported account type. So users can open and manage a Capsule account right within MetaMask, which means you can take advantage of all the kind of fun tools that MetaMask has, and as well as the kind of global reach they have. We've also been working with several DeFi leaders in the space. So Delve is one of them. This is the team behind Element Finance, as well as Hedgehog, which is our most recent announcement. They're a robo-advisor that manages off and on-chain portfolios. So they have features like portfolio diversification, automated rebalancing, and DCA. They had pretty strong requirements on things like security and self-custody. And so they felt like Capsule's enterprise scale and use of distributed MPC was a really good fit to ensure folks' funds are secure and self-custodied. We also have some really exciting partnerships with teams like Vana. This is specifically our Data DAO, one of their apps. They were specifically excited about the cross-app functionality. So they have users upload their Reddit data to our Data DAO, reward them with a token that kind of represents their ownership in the total Reddit data set, and then have their users manage what happens to that data set through a separate tool called Commonwealth. And so needing the wallets to be able to move across both apps was really important. And having the ability to have that be a really smooth and easy onboarding experience was also really important. So in the future, what we're thinking about, especially in the realm of customers and go lives, is just doubling down on things that are working. So we're seeing obviously the cross app and helping apps retain their users through easy onboarding and things like recoverability and good UX, but also using Capsule for things like Sybil resistance, specifically with our flow and our architecture, and then just helping users onboard more quickly and getting them to transact quicker on chain, because that really is what makes a user an on-chain user, is their ability to kind of transact really quickly. And so generally a really exciting time for us through public beta. And yeah, there's a lot to come out in the next couple of months. So we'll have more there.
Yeah, I was trying to like go around and use Capsule and get a feel for how it works. And I
Yeah.
like looked up Hedgehog and a couple, but I was going into this thinking this was a smart contract solution, and the smart contract UX is still like I said, Wild West. Like it's very like we're still figuring it out. People are like taking Gnosis safes and wallet connecting into a swap, and this is like a terrible UX. And so when it gets to the point where smart contract UX is great, I'm excited. And so I was digging in here and be like, okay, how are they going to do cross app? How are they going to? Your secret is that you're working at the cryptography level and it's MPC. And that I feel like has unlocked a whole bunch of other things in my mind about how this works and why it's a good decision. And I think it is a great decision. So just saying that to say it out loud, now that I kind of get what's going on, I get that you probably, if you want to know what it's like to use this to go interact with an app, it's going to be very similar to your EOA. There's just going to be fewer of these elephants in the room because you guys have addressed those. And I think that's right. But let me make sure I got some nods here. I'm just going to move on to my next question. And this is about developers. So Edda always says, if you want to get into Web3, go find the job that you want to do and go do it. And I think that it's a controversial take because it's like, are you working for free? What are you doing? But it's like, I feel like it's such a good insight into how Web3 works. It's very permissionless. Like if you want to go do something, go do it. And then like all this other stuff will shake loose. So my question is, what is the thing that you would like to see a developer go do within your stack that would lead to them probably getting hired by you?
Oh, that's a great question. I mean, one aside to mention is that there are a few folks on our team who were at one point either working with Capsule customers or hacking on Capsule's SDKs, and so that has actually been something where we've seen kind of it's been a really interesting experience, like a really interesting and like gratifying experience, I have to say, versus the traditional maybe tech. You go out, you put out a job posting, you have a bunch of hard and fast requirements, and several members of our team have joined quite organically. And I think the beauty of building in developer tools is that the folks who you want to hire are in many cases also the folks who are like so excited to just try out what you're building on the weekends. And so I think that that's definitely been something that we've seen. I guess in terms of use cases, I'll let my kind of fintech side of background kind of show here, but a lot of elements around this is one reason I think Hedgehog was a partner. We were really excited to see live, along with Hyperdrive and the DeFi side. But I'm personally really excited to see DeFi be more accessible, and something where being kind of trading options and understanding options trading, and even doing something like DCA is something that people feel is accessible to them. And so you have more people kind of taking advantage of these really amazing on-chain primitives in ways that don't require maybe our archetype of a DeFi power user, who's someone who's always had a ledger, who's really who's maybe a whale and is using large funds, but also having folks with maybe smaller dollar amounts, like some leftover budget from the previous month, just kind of trying out different on-chain actions and doing that with smaller size. And then I think a parallel that you saw in fintech here was that once fintech became accessible to people trading with smaller dollar amounts or kind of investing with smaller dollar amounts, it unlocks this whole large segment of the market. And I'm really excited to see something very similar hopefully happen in crypto.
So I think what you're saying is there's less to be built and more like the cryptography is there and it's solid, and you guys have figured out how to do this kind of like MPC 2 of 2 thing. Go build things with it, put it into apps and get people using it, and look at the generic user. What does the generic user want to do but quite can't yet? Make an app for that and stick your wall in it. The other thing I was thinking is maybe like making like a counterfactual Capsule where it's like, just pretend like Capsule decided not to do anything anymore. Could some other developer just go make some other, maybe the recovery system or some of this stuff that you guys have built, just go make like a shitty version of it, just so we have it out there so we can prove that it's like something like Capsule could disappear and people would be fine. One developer could probably go make a demo that shows that. Is that true?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, something that we've been getting more and more excited about is, I think, as some of the folks that Aditi mentioned have had launches, as more people have heard about us, we've just gotten way more excitement in. Let me spend a day trying to build something really cool with this and see what comes out of it. And I mean, something like that I think would be really cool. There's a lot of stuff in the payment link space that I think is really interesting. To your point on counterfactual addresses. And yeah, basically this whole payment space, personally really bullish on everything around stablecoin finance. So yeah, that whole area, I think we're now getting to the point where we've been closer to able to support them as we've kind of scaled up a little bit as well.
So I want to move to like building your own startup side as well, because I feel like a lot of people are interested. Like people are usually like, okay, I want to go ahead, I want to build my own startup, like leave my job, etc. And yeah, it's always super inspiring to see like people do that. So I'm curious, like how, like what was the initial inspiration behind like, okay, like now we're going to go ahead and like start building Capsule. Kind of leave. I know, like Nitya, you left Cello and then you started building Capsule. So can you talk a bit about that? Because I feel like that can be like very inspiring to a lot of builders. Yeah. So back to you.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think I think one of the biggest pulls towards Capsule was a lot of my experience at Cello and really just the crypto space. As Austin mentioned, things like meta transactions, things like smart contract accounts. A lot of these concepts have been around in the space for a long time, and a lot of my experience of being I spent a lot of time in emerging markets, a lot of time running stablecoin kind of finance or lending programs, even things like cash transfer programs. And that experience of just talking to someone and telling them that your funds are gone is probably one of the hardest conversations, especially when you're also thinking about a technology that you that we all really believe in. And so this was kind of something where just thought a lot about what it would really take to get from a place where you have more closed environments where people are kind of onboarding to crypto or using funds that someone else gave them and the stakes are different versus actually having someone's entire liquid net where their entire like savings account in crypto. And that I think the self-custody problem was just one that to me felt so foundational, where a world where crypto didn't solve this problem meant a world where crypto just continued to be only for a few people. And around that same time, this is kind of at the height of popularity of some NFT collections, and those NFT collections having community members that weren't from the crypto space, and you were just hearing every day about somebody's wallet getting drained, even really crypto native collectors getting their wallets drained. And I think that leap for me was realizing that it wasn't quite a problem of normies. I think like crypto, we like to talk a lot about like natives and normies. The self-custody problem wasn't a normies problem. It was a foundational kind of technical problem and a foundational attribute of the space, and something that solving that also helps crypto natives, not just normies.
Okay, that's a really nice intro. And I remember like at one presentation, I don't remember who it was, but they said like people usually say like users are not ready for self-custody, but it's actually the wallet side. And this was like a presentation from like 1-2 years ago where I I think like solutions like these make it much more easier, because it is like very scary to be like, oh, okay, like your funds are gone, or like I lost my private seed phrase, private key, etc. But I also like, before we wrap up, like just kind of curious, can you talk a bit about your team? Like how many people are you? Like just kind of short overview about the team as the last question.
Absolutely. So, so Capsule, we're 8 people. About half of us are in San Francisco, and then we have a few folks who are remote across the US as well. And in that mix, we're about 50-50 Eng, 50% Eng, and then we also have a designer. I do a bunch of different things, and then Aditi and we have one more colleague are more focused on the business side.
Can we talk about the business side a little bit? Like, it's something that I don't know anything about. Like, I can build an app, but let's say I have a prototype. Let's say I have the insight that MPC is the way to go right now because smart contract wallets are still taking some time. What does the business side of that look like once you have the idea and the prototype?
Yeah. Oh man. It's been a variety of kind of discovery on who our ideal customer profile is. So like, what are the dApps that actually are going to benefit from easy onboarding cross app, and then some of the features that Nitya talked about. And then it's just a question of doubling down on what those kind of groups are. So a lot of the early journey of Capsule was just discovery on who these people are, what those use cases are, how end users are interacting with Capsule, and what that meant for Capsule as a product, as a technical solution, as a thing that we needed to now distribute to the market. And so now I think we're kind of through public beta, we've now been learning a lot about who those kind of users and customers are. And now we're kind of in a stage where we're starting to be a little bit more targeted and specific on who we work with and why and how they use Capsule. And so lots to come on that side, but I think scaling has been a huge part of our growth, and just being able to handle more, which we've been seeing a lot of in the last couple of months.
So I kind of want to ask one last question as well. Basically, like what are the future developments that you're looking into? I know you mentioned some of the partners, but what is to be expected from Capsule in the coming months?
Absolutely. Yeah. So we break this down into a couple of different work streams. The first is really around how do we make it as easy as possible for developers to integrate Capsule. So this is tools that make Capsule more self-serve. Docs are always something that the work is never done there. You can always have better developer documentation, examples, and things there. And then the other side of it is just building out more in terms of the cross app side, and that has its whole own roadmap around things like making cross app safer, more explicit for users. We talked about the notion of a power user, giving that power user access to everything they could do, and even more than they could do with their current standalone wallet, with an embedded wallet and with Capsule. And so those are really the two core kind of initiatives on the roadmap, and then there's a lot of different features inside of that as well.
And just one last thing, because I feel like I know the answer, but just want to make sure that I have it correctly. So like, let's say like I'm a developer, like I'm interested, what do I do? Like, where do I go for the first thing to basically test out Capsule and learn more as well? And can I like start using Capsule? Because I believe it's like also private beta. So like, can I start using, or would I need to like request an API key?
Yeah, so great question. You'd head over to our website. We also tweet this link all the time. So if you follow us on socials, you will see the beta link. But you request access for an API key. We will reach out, give you an API key, and then Capsule's kind of ready to be kind of tested with. So this is a beta API key, so you'd be able to run Capsule, look through our examples. We've had a lot of success with folks integrating in under a day, and kind of reaching back out to us on how to work together more closely. And I think a lot of the work that Nitya mentioned on making things easier and making things more self-serve is definitely on the roadmap. So in the future, this should be not reliant on, that process should not be reliant on submitting a form, and rather just something that you can kind of do yourself. So all things to come.
Woo, we did it. Episode down. Good job, everyone.
Yeah,
I think
thank you.
a really cool thing here is like, you don't really have like a small user set. You've basically made the cryptography easier. So anybody using any EVM or other chain that's using ECDSA wallets can now have this upgrade where we get rid of some of those elephants in the room. And it's not based on smart contract wallets and future UX and stuff like that. So I think it's a really awesome product, and it's been great to have you guys on. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Yeah, this was really fun.